Welcome Maurice, and welcome to another review. Here I have an Omega Aqua Terra, but it's not an ordinary Aqua Terra, it's a world timer. The main draw of the world timer for most people is probably the dial, and this was exactly the case for me. The world timer sets itself apart aesthetically from many other watches in Omega's catalogue and is a strong competitor to the world timers of other brands, especially in its price point. To me, the world timer highlights what Omega is capable of and brings to light their craftsmanship and dedication to horology. Here are the dimensions and specs. The world timer has a case diameter of 43mm, lug width of 21mm, a lug to lug of 50.3mm, a thickness of 14.1mm, and features a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on both sides for full, uninterrupted view of its amazing dial. It sports 150 meters of water resistance with a screw-down crown and also has a display case back, so you can see that gorgeous movement. Taking a look at the dial, the eyes are immediately drawn to the center, where you will find a beautiful rendition of the northern hemisphere from a bird's eye view. It's crafted from grade 5 titanium with colors, continents and textures imprinted via lasering, allowing for an incredible amount of detail to keep the eyes busy. The continents and Seamaster lettering are raised with varying levels of height, adding to the intricate illustration of the globe. This depth is further emphasized by a recessed 24-hour scale, differentiating between night and day with dark and light shades of blue. It's protected by a Hesalite ring which reduces glare and frames the world nicely. Now this little detail may seem small, but to me it makes all the difference in the world. It reminds me of the vast infinite depth of the universe and allows the earth to sit proud, floating in the deep emptiness of space. It also works well to break up the dial in a cohesive manner, avoiding a clash of elements by splitting the dial into legible sections while maintaining shades of a single color. Surrounding this planetary picture is a flood of deep aqua to bring you back to Earth, or perhaps the sea. The dark blue tones of the outer disc is reminiscent of the ocean depths and reminds me of its water capability, while contrasting that of the vibrant blue found on the center sea, further pushing the Earth to the forefront. This is emphasized by a clever take on the Aqua Terra's teak design, through curved channels which give the flat disc a domed illusion and imitate the longitude lines on a globe. Not only that, the darker tone of blue makes telling the time that much easier, providing a clear distinction against the hour markers and acts as a canvas for the light blue city markers to shine. In place of a minute track, we get a track of cities printed in silver for those with daylight savings time and light blue for cities without. This can make it hard to tell the minutes, but fear not, telling the minutes is still doable. The small arrows near the center of the dial, which indicate cities, work perfectly as 3-minute indicators for each 5-minute interval. They get the job done as reference points and help to reduce clutter on the dial, but won't give you an accurate minute reading. At the 6 o'clock, you can see London in red print, signifying Greenwich Mean Time, and adding a touch of color which pops extremely well, especially in the sunlight. To match this, the world timer includes a second hand with a red tip, tying in nicely with the London text and enhancing legibility of the second hand as it glides across the sea of blue. Maintaining the indices and handset of the Aqua Terra is great to see here, as their broad and faceted structure capture light and help them stand out against the multi-layered components of the dial. If you're a fan of Omega, then you'd probably be familiar with the worldtimer's case architecture. Just like the Aqua Terra, the worldtimer is immediately recognizable as part of the Omega family, bearing an unmistakable DNA through the signature twisted lugs. The curvy case, with its valleys and unique structure, suits the aesthetic of the dial. It's a dynamic and interesting dial with a dynamic and interesting case. The case has a sporty edge, which is uncommon in the realm of worldtimers, and that's what makes this so compelling. Its satin brushed and polished finishing give it a dressy yet casual feel, allowing it to slip into many occasions. Pair this with a jaw-dropping dial and it's sure to start many conversations. But there's one place where it might not fit, and that's on a small wrist. The worldtimer comes in at 43mm, making it quite a hefty timepiece. It's not light either, so it will feel top heavy on its thin bracelet. Just like the Aqua Terra, the worldtimer sports a solid 3-link bracelet attached to the case via female end links. The bracelet is nicely built and comfortable, with fantastic satin brushed flanking links and polished center links. But it's just not suited for the worldtimer. The watch head is so intricate, exhibiting many lines and curves, yet the bracelet, it's flat and boring. It's simple, too simple. It doesn't share the same level of design as the case. It lacks any micro adjustment, and it just seems like it was an afterthought. The bracelet is secured with a butterfly style clasp, which can only be closed one way, giving it an inbuilt locking feature. And this allows for a slim and sleek profile. Now overall, the bracelet isn't bad. It just feels out of place and would feel more at home on a different watch. Lucky for us, there is a solution. The worldtimer has the option for a rubber strap, and lucky for me, I happen to have both. If you're trying to decide between steel or rubber, I highly recommend the rubber strap for the worldtimer. It has the same structure and look as the Aqua Terra rubber strap, so if you're a fan of that, you'll be a fan of this. The strap features a blue tone that matches the theme of the dial and incorporates criss-cross domed squares that introduce curves and shape to an otherwise flat band. This pattern is nicely bordered from lugs all the way to the clasp, breaking up its elements just like the dial, and is decorated with stitching which complements the hour markers of the watch. The rubber is incredibly comfortable, being extremely pliable and soft, and the way the strap integrates into the case makes it look like an integrated strap. It transitions perfectly with no gaps and meets the lugs at the right height. Now, I'm a bracelet guy, but the Aqua Terra strap is so well done and flows so well from the case, it completely blows the bracelet out of the park. It's not just the strap that you throw on. It fits the case seamlessly and adds an extra element of intrigue with the metal end link pieces, giving it a look that is unique to the Aqua Terra family. Housed inside the worldtimer is the Caliber 8938, a METAS certified coaxial escapement with 60 hours of power reserve, and just like Omega's other offerings, it's an absolute pleasure to look at. It's specified to 0 to plus 5 seconds a day, and it's beautifully finished with Geneva waves, forming a cohesive link with the whole Aqua Terra World Timer theme. When looking at the movement, you really get a sense of the deep abyss due to its dark color palette and layout of its components. The Geneva waves and lack of gold decorative elements helps to emphasize this. It's like you're being drawn deeper and deeper into the ocean. Here it is on wrist, on my 6.5-inch wrist, and on the rubber. As you can see there, the blue really ties in well with the dial, and those metal end link pieces really just tie it all together, make it look nice and integrated. Gives it that clean and unique Aqua Terra look. Now, as I said before, the rubber strap is incredibly comfortable and it does wrap around the wrist nicely. Here it is on wrist, on my 6.5-inch wrist, and this time on the steel bracelet. Now the watch head there, it's large at 43mm and impressive in comparison to the simple, slim bracelet. Now in comparison to the rubber, it doesn't wrap around as nicely, but it is still comfortable. But the watch does feel top heavy, so keep that in mind. The clasp, as I said before, nice and slim, nice and clean look. The bracelet, I feel like it just doesn't suit the watch as well as the rubber strap does. The World Timer is an amazing offering from Omega. It sets itself apart and definitely presents itself as a special piece in their vast collection. It's an incredibly impressive watch, but also comes with an incredibly large case. The bracelet has a solid construction, but the rubber is a lot more cohesive and feels much more at home. If you have small wrists, it's probably best to go with something else. However, if you're a fan of the Aqua Terra World Timer, it could be hard to come by something similar, so you might have to bite the bullet. If you like it, I'd say go for it. After all, you will be the one wearing the watch, so as long as you're happy with it, that's really all that matters. Thanks again for watching, and consider subscribing for more watch content. I'll see you in the next one.